Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to OTF Connect's webinar. I'm very excited to present this one tonight with you, apps and extensions in Google Chrome. Wow, this is going to be fascinating for you. I'm really looking forward to hearing Emma. I've heard her present before. She does a terrific job, and this is a great area of topic to hear tonight. So Emma, take it away.
Thank you, Trish. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for your time and attention this evening and taking some time out of your evening to explore tools that could possibly support your students in one way or another. This is just my second time doing a webinar, so I'm going to try and remember the things that I learned from last time. And yeah, just to repeat kind of what Trish said, please feel free to, if you're having any problems hearing or you have any questions, please use the chat or any of the tools that she kind of went through, the hand and things like that. So there is, to begin with, there's a link here to a Google Slide version that I wanted to share, just in case I have some people here that are, like to multitask at the same time. I kind of like to do that, especially if I'm learning about apps and extensions for my students. Things move pretty quickly. So if you have this extension, then if you have this link, you can open it up, and within that version, I will continually remind you and show you where the links are that can take you to places that you can install the apps and extensions we're going to talk about. So my name's Emma Ray. I work for the Upper Grand District School Board, where I am an elementary inclusion technology coach. So I work with all the schools actually right now within the city of Guelph and go and work alongside teachers. We team teach together, and we focus on areas of need of their students and also the teacher too, so that they start to feel comfortable implementing technology into their everyday program. You can find me on Twitter at @RayofSunshine. I try and do my best to stay on top of my Twitter. It's one of my personal learning goals to be more present on Twitter. I find it hard to fit that in right now. But again, it's just one of the things I constantly try. I do a lot of reading and learning from Twitter, but I need to push myself to kind of be more involved. So our goals for this session, we have quite a long time. However, I feel it might move pretty quickly because I've got lots. When I tried to break it down into different apps and extensions that I wanted to show, it was really hard. There are so many awesome little tools that I have found from speaking and working with teachers have been really useful to them. So we're going to take our time to explore and show you the apps and extensions, and then have a little bit of time to play and allow you time to ask questions if there's anything specific about a student need. And then I really encourage you to kind of, use the chat to reach out and ask for different ideas. You can see at the bottom of this slide, there is another link, and I'm going to bring this slideshow up. This slideshow just basically talks you through, if you are new to Google Apps and Extensions, how to find them and how to add them and activate them. I'm all about the support documents, especially for teachers that we work with. And I had to put this in because I guess tonight we're going to have to be really curious. We're going to explore things, poke at them, question them, turn them inside out, and decide whether it's going to be something that you'd be able to use in your classroom, or maybe your students might use it. But I like this visual as we move through them. I'm not going to give a massive detail about each app and extension. I'm kind of going to present it with a way that I want you to take it and kind of figure it out and to see whether it'll work for you. So let's use some of the tools that Trish kind of talked about before to use some of our stickies. What did we call them? Trish, the little clip art at the bottom that we identified whereabouts we were on the map. Just to let me know what device you're using tonight. There's a few things that might appear that I might just have to kind of give some extra explanation for. So it'd be really good just to see what you're joining us on. If we have any Chromebooks out there, and I know we noticed that there were some people on phones, on mobile devices. Okay, that looks good. And just out of curiosity, just as an added question, I'm just going to throw this one in too. Could you use your yeses, your tick boxes, to tell me if you normally use at school or your students use Chromebooks? Just as an added question there. Yeah, okay. All right, that's great. Okay, thanks, that's awesome. So again, a great way to just kind of get you involved. How familiar are you with Chrome editions, including apps or extensions? Do you use them all the time? Do you have a couple that you've found? Or do you get lost in a sea of possibilities and, you know, it's kind of hard to know and keep track of what's new and what's there? Okay? All right. Okay, that's great. All right, let's get looking then, because there's lots. Can I clear I'm going to clear those. Can you quickly tell me, there seems to be a lot of questions here, but I have to think of every little thing that might come up, and I want to make sure that when we go to add things that we're successful and we're able to actually explore. Can you give me a tick if your school board is really primarily a Google Apps for Education school board? So that means that you have like a Gmail attached to your school account. You have an active Gmail that we can use. Awesome. Brilliant, that's great. And I kind of expected most people would be, just because of the whole title, but you know, I just want to make sure that we're responsive to everybody's needs too. And our last one, I would love to be responsive to your needs. The examples in the slideshow can be accessed or reviewed at any time. And as we're going through, and if there really is something, I'd really like you to reach out to ask. When we have time at the end to kind of go and explore a bit so that you can find where you really want the programs that really sit well with you. If you feel that you're okay with that and you'd rather just kind of ask questions, then I'm okay with that too. So a Google extension, what is a Google extension? They basically extend the way that your browser works, which means that it can help with the functionalities of some things. It can give students and teachers extra tools. And so there are a few extensions that I've come across that I find really useful for students. Now, if I kind of go through these, and then what I would like to do is I'm going to take you to my computer screen, because I'd like you to show you how these work. But I kind of just want to go through them a bit at a time, because switching between screens can sometimes delay things and create lagging, and I don't really want that. So the ones on this page, we have Mercury Reader. Mercury Reader is a tool that allows students to take away all the distracting clutter in web pages. So you go onto a web page, there's flashing advertisements, and if you use Mercury Reader, it cleans it up, it leaves the text, and sometimes it even does take in the images, so it's really refreshing for the student. They get to focus on what it is they're supposed to read. The timers that I've included 3 timers only because I've been asked for several different timer apps for different students. So several students have different needs. The reaction to timers, some need to be able to see it ticking away, some do not like to see it as a visual. Some like sounds, and some like nice calming sounds or a voice telling them the time's up. So for all of those different reasons, I chose 3 different types of timers. I know sometimes these are really useful to keep students on task, and also to count down if they're just given a particular time to explore something on their own. The Nimbus screenshot allows you to take a picture of your screen. It also allows you to annotate it with shapes and arrows or text. So if you're creating something, I create lots of how-to support documents. I find Nimbus really useful because it allows me to capture what I can see on the screen at that time. Craftsy Cursor is an extension that, kind of like this one here where I have my little sunbeam, it puts a beam of light around my mouse when I am modeling or showing students around things on a web page. Sometimes this is really useful. I've used it with when I have students that really need something to focus on, or I have students that have visual disabilities too, so it helps them focus. Noisely seems to be a super favorite right now in our board. It allows students to listen to kind of a background noise, so I know we have lots of students that like to listen to music. It's something we're trying to move away from just because streaming music can be pretty heavy on our Wi-Fi, our bandwidth. With Noisely, it is more relaxing nature sounds that I guess there's research to say that it helps with productivity and focus. They're able to make up their own little combination of different things, which might be like the rain outside or a thunderstorm and the trees and the leaves blowing in the wind. So it's kind of like a fun little thing that they can listen to as they're working to help keep them focused. Screencastify and Loom, 2 different products, do the same thing. I have a preference for Screencastify just because it links to my Google Drive, and that's where all of my videos go to. Loom, if they are completed, they become something that can be viewed by other people online. However, there's something about Loom that I like too. It allows you to put a little screencast of your face in there while you're capturing your computer screen as you create your video. So there's pros and cons for both of these. I just put them in both as an option. It's because you never quite know what some people will lean towards. Okay, and our last page of our extensions before we go check them out. SessionBuddy. SessionBuddy allows you to preset a selection of tabs and name them and open them quickly at a later time. And we're going to test that out because I've already created a selection of tabs, and we're going to try it out when I share my screen, which might be interesting. So we'll see how that goes. The Google input tools and the accent grids I included when I've been working within a French immersion setting. I've found that it's really tricky to add accents onto words or special characters. So I've kind of tested out both of these with students and got some feedback. So those are 2 things that have become integral when we've been looking at writing in the French language. And finally, Equatio. Equatio is fairly new. It allows students to write mathematical equations and expressions in Google Docs, slides, forms, sheets, or drawings. So let's go, and I'm going to walk you through them. So let me just share my screen. Okay, good. Let's see, there's lots of people that have already accessed the Google Slides version. This is the other slideshow that I shared with you. It kind of walks you through adding or finding Chrome maps. This is something that I often use every time I'm working with a group of students. It just gives them the visuals to be able to find the launcher, the Chrome Web Store, and walk them through the process of adding either apps or extensions. So please feel free to use this if you're going to be getting your students to add any of these apps and extensions at a later date. Please feel free to use this so that they have visuals they can see. I've tried to get rid of any of them that actually pertain just to our school board. So if you're going to go to your Chrome Web Store to find them, I find my Chrome Web Store in my little app launcher here because I'm on a computer. So I would go and find my web store here. And before we go any further, I just want to share with you something that I discovered this week. I guess it's been like this for quite a while. But on any PC or Mac, the only thing that they support right now in the Chrome Web Store are extensions and themes. If you're on a Chromebook, you will notice that you still have the ability to search for apps. So that is the one reason why I wanted to share this with you today as a Google slideshow. Because you will notice that on the apps and the extensions today, if you click on either the little image or the actual word, I have put in a link right there that will take you straight to the page on the Chrome Web Store that will allow you to add this. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, so I'm going to try and use we're going to return to this. Okay. So let's go to the Mercury Reader. Let me just remove that. Not so sure why that one's popping up on me. So the Mercury Reader looks like a little rocket, if you can see up at the top here. And this is a website that my students might be researching. And I can see that down here, there's lots of flashing, lots of things that they might click on. And I also found from talking to students that they get a little stressed because they're not so sure what exactly they're supposed to be reading. And if they click it with the Mercury Reader, you give it time to render there on your screen, it now makes it really simple. So with this one, it actually did include the picture, but now you can see, and I won't move it around too much because you guys can add this and, you know, have a look yourself, but you can see how it's now simplified it. There are no flashing buttons, there's no ads, and the first time I used this with kids, and it wasn't young students, it was older students, junior students, they like breathed a sigh of relief because they actually knew, oh, this is the information I have to read, and it made it a lot simpler for them. So that's the Mercury Reader. Great, I love Mercury Reader. And we can move to our timers. I included 3 timers. One of them was called the Omnibox timer. The Omnibox timer allows you at any point to put into your Omnibox, your box here, URL box, a particular time, and then you can set it. And with every extension, can I just tell you that if you right-click on it, it's not showing up, it's showing up as a dark box there, but when you I'll try another one. When you it doesn't like it, hey? When you right-click on it, you get, for most of them, you get an options button, which will take you to the page where you can set it up, or you can set some rules for it. So if you're ever wondering how you can change or you can find information about your extensions, just go to the top and right-click on it. It's also the spot where you can remove it too. If you don't want it, doesn't work for you, then there's also an option to remove from Chrome. Another of the timers is the one-click timer. This was particularly good for the students that really needed that visual and had kind of grown up with the timer that would be put on their desk or put in their proximity as maybe when they were a younger student. So this is the reason why I chose this one to share with our teachers. And then there's the simple timer that just comes with some preset times that I'm able to choose between, and then just press play. And it starts to count down. So I'll leave those for you to be able to check out. Okay. So my Nimbus screenshot is the little one here with the N. When I click on that tool, it allows me to choose if I want to capture a visible part of the page, a selected area. To be honest, I normally just capture the visible part of the page. Sometimes I find the selected area tool, it can be a bit flaky. So if I take a visible part of the page, it captures it, and then it'll open it up into an area that allows me to then play around. I can, from here, I can crop it. I can add arrows. I can add text. I can blur out sections, which is actually really useful if you're creating something for a presentation that you want to get rid of students' names. So there's a bunch of different ways that I can mark this up. And then once I'm done with it, I can then send it to Google, which I find really useful. I can also save it as an image as well, so I can download it to my computer, and then I can pull it up into different documents. So that's the Nimbus screenshot. My Craftsy Cursor is the 2 C's here. And when I click on it, it allows me to choose a particular color. And then I can start highlighting, and then wherever my cursor goes, my dot follows. And then if I want to turn it off, I just return to the extension and select Stop Highlighting. So that one's pretty straightforward. I brought my noisily up. When I click on it here, I can see these are my combos, I guess they're called, like a combo. So you can make up your own collection of noise. And I can either, it'll bring me my last combo. I guess I was listening to Thunderstorm twice for some reason. I can start it straight away. I also have a timer on this too. Or I can add a combo. And if I add a combo, it takes me to my page that allows me to listen to all the different sounds. So this one's rain, thunderstorm, and nature, waterfall, leaves, and so on. And you mix them, and as you select one, you can make it as loud or as quiet as possible. So when I add another element, I might want one in particular to be louder than the other. So I can make my own combo. I can save that combo. I can give it a name. And so then when I go back, I can see that my new one, that my new combo that I've just put in there, my calming one, I can play that straight from my extension at the top of my browser. And then I can have it play for so long. So that's noisily. And then my Screencastify and my Loom. So Screencastify just records my computer screen. I can put my webcam, I can have it so that it captures my computer screen and also has a little image of me at the side, like here. It doesn't show it in real time, so sometimes I have problems with that because I kind of like to be able to, you know, check in on how I might be looking or where I'm kind of staring off into. As soon as I start to record my desktop, it asks me what it is that I would like to share. I can share my entire screen or I can just share a particular application window. It counts me down. And then I can move around my computer. I can be showing students different things. I can be capturing the learning of something. And once I'm done, I press stop sharing. And it opens me. And then it opens me. There you go. It opens me into my Google Drive where I can either download it or it saves. I can also delete it, which I would like. And those are all my recordings. So once you've done a recording, it just puts it in there and then you know where you can go find it. Now Loom is very similar. I did mention before, Loom has an element that puts your video out there to see how many people have watched it. What I do like about Loom is it captures you in this little circle right here. Once you start recording with Loom, as soon as it's done, you can actually delete the video. You can download it and you can delete it. So it really is just a total preference thing. Okay, so my next one is SessionBuddy. And SessionBuddy is actually what I opened this up with. This is my little SessionBuddy up here. And what SessionBuddy allows me to do is open up a bunch of windows and then give it a name and save that collection of windows. So I've used this several times when I've been teaching. I help teachers teach in different classrooms, and I could be finishing one period and then have to go straight into another classroom and be doing something completely different. So sometimes I open up all the tabs that I might need to in one window, and I can then give it a name, and then I can close that window down and easily go to SessionBuddy. So here I kind of have my extension examples set. So these are all the things that I opened up before. I gave it a name so I know which one it is, and from there I am able to open up those 6 tabs or open them in one window or open them in this window that I have up. It also keeps a tab of your other windows that you use. So you can see here that 3 months ago, I had these open. And then a few seconds ago, so if you kind of quickly close it, if you open up your SessionBuddy, it will save it. You can then go and you can give it a name and be like, okay, that's where I want to start tomorrow. So I'm actually going to save that. I'm going to give it a name so that I can start my lesson with all of those things that I had open today. So I really like SessionBuddy. The next couple I had were the Google Input Tools and the Accent Grid. So let me just move my Input Tools. I'll find them. They kind of vanished on me. I think I have a bit of an extension problem, as you see when I pull them all out. This is my Google Input Tools. The first time you use your Google Input Tools, you do have to click on the extension at the top and click Extension Options. This is where you choose the languages that you want to use for Google Input Tools. So you can see all the languages here. We were obviously using French, and we were experimenting. You can either use a French keyboard or you can use a writing tool. Now, the students actually really liked the writing tool. I was trying to keep a track and have a look at who was using what and how much, and I think this is the one they really went back to most of the time. So once I've selected those, I just basically, in order to use them, I just either can double click on them or click on them once and use the little arrow, and it'll put it in the box here. Once I've selected them, I'm going to open up my writing pad, and it gives me a writing pad so that I can very easily, and it doesn't really matter, it starts to predict what it is I might want. So, for example, this for sure was definitely one that a lot of students kept trying to find, and with one click, I'm able to put it into my document. The keyboard works pretty much the same. Instead, the keyboard comes up here and they're just able to click it. I actually thought this was way easier, but for some reason, they like to draw it. And then that leads me to the last one that we had, which is Equatio. Equatio is this little diamond here. And Equatio is available on basically any Google platform. When you click it, it opens up the little Equatio toolbar at the bottom here. It allows me to use any of these forms to write any particular type of math equation. So if I open up my handwriting recognition, I might be answering this problem here. So I might be asking them to do 30 times 0.3 equals. So if I start, I don't want that 30 though, I don't want that X. So if I go wrong, I think I learned to do that. I have other different things here too. So if something is not quite right, I can put in my multiplication sign. You can actually put it in there maybe. I can also talk and use my speech input. 30 times 0.3. I don't think it heard my 30. Let me try again. 30 times 0.3. So it has half of it. Oh, it has that bit though. I tell you, speech to text doesn't really like my accent a lot of the time. Students get quite a kick out of that. So once I've put in my equation, I am able to insert that math straight into my Google Doc, and it actually puts it in as an image. So then students are able to move that image wherever, and they're able to write around it. But it just means that if they have problems, motor problems, being able to type things in or write things in, it gives them a better opportunity. It also allows them to use that mathematical language. The little guy with the hearts for eyes here tells them that they're recognizing the math that they're talking. So that's another one to explore. I haven't used Equatio a great deal yet. It's just kind of getting into, our teachers are just noticing it and trying to find ways or opportunities for students to be able to use it, to allow them to get out what it is that they understand and show their understanding. Okay, so what I would like to do, and maybe Trish, you can help me with this part. Could we put the timer on for a little bit and allow people to have time just to explore, just in case they haven't at that point?
Sure. How much time would you like?
What time are we now? Like 5 minutes maybe, because we have still lots to have a look at. But yeah, just 5 minutes, yeah. Thank you.
So folks, you're exploring right now, and there will be a little ding sound when the 5 minutes is up, and just come on back to the Blackboard screen then. If you need any of the links, just scroll back up through the chat, and you'll see that I posted a whole bunch of them there.
Awesome. Thank you, Trish.
Emma, I'm also assuming they can pop questions into the chat if they have them during this 5 minutes. There's
yes,
one for you right
definitely. There. Oh, awesome. Oh, actually, Trish, you can't access Blackboard on a Chromebook, can you? I was interested in that too. Right. You can certainly access the Google slide though. So if you're watching on your mobile device and you want your Google slide up, you can bring that up on your Chromebook and have all the links in there. Okay, awesome, great, Valentina. Okay, so hopefully you got a little bit of time to check things out or add a few extensions. And again, we'll have some more time as well in a little while. We'll just work through some apps too, and then you can have full exploration time. So, switching from the extension. So, apps. Apps basically are links to websites. So, they are online programs that you can access. You can sign in with your Gmail account, with your Google account. It's a single sign-on. They make it really easy. Some of them also link to your Google Drive where you can save a hard copy of whatever it is that you've created. So we're going to look at a few, and I think with the idea in mind of think about some of the assignments or the activities you do with your students where these apps could be integrated. They just create a really good, engaging platform for students that probably do a lot of this at home, right? Creating posters, creating visuals, creating movies, presentations, animations. So the benefits of apps are students can easily add them from their Chrome Web Store through their app launcher. They don't really put anything on because they're online. They don't crash your computer. They are constantly updating and changing, and you don't have to do any of that. It's all done from the developer, and you just get to basically enjoy the new features that they put on. You will go on it one day and it will look completely different, and they might have changed the tools that you can use, which some of you might be like, oh, I hate when they do that, then I have to relearn it. But in most cases, it's to make things easier and more engaging for our students to use. So where to start? I put in some of, I think we'll look at most of these. There's a couple not that we won't. I try to pick things that are free to either anyone or students and educators, and that seem to have a decent amount of storage space. So there's maybe only one on here that has very limited, but there's so many different reasons to use it that I had to include it too. So we'll start off with graphic design. There are three main contenders for the graphic design app: Canva, Piktochart, and Lucidpress. And these tools are awesome for creating posters, magazines, like graphic content, infographics, presentations, social media images. And they really do create professional looking documents. They have a bunch of images or styles and themes that are built in. They also allow you to upload your own images too and your own content. And I just want to take some time to show you what each one does. I'm going to switch again. Share with you. So the first one that we'll have a look at is Piktochart. And Piktochart started, it does a lot of different forms, but it originally started to create infographics. And infographics are like, if you've never used infographics before, they're like the super long posters. They can include information and images and charts and maps, and just create this awesome visual that has a lot of information in it too. And I'll try and scroll a little bit quickly so that the screen kind of captures this, but I found it really useful. I had to create an infographic for an AQ course that I was taking. And after I created it, I really reflected about what it did for myself and my learning. And because it's made of these little blocks that you can add, it really helped me categorize the information that I was talking about in each thing. So it can certainly help with organization of an idea, and then all the different things that you can do that you can see on the toolbar here, the graphics and icons that they have already built in. Unfortunately, my animated icons are pros. The photos, they have decent, good quality photos to use. You can upload any of your own images also. You can change the background, and there's lots of options there. Text, color scheme, the tools. This is where I really think that it does kick it up a notch. The charts that you can use, it allows you to put in your data straight into a simple spreadsheet right here, which then generates a graph. But then at the side, we can then change what that chart graph looks like. And so students can play around with what they think visually represents the data that they have the most effectively. And then once they've created that, then they're able to insert their chart up here into their poster. And the same with the maps. I have to show you the maps too. I just had a class use the maps tool. They were doing different habitats for different animals, and so they were wanting to show a particular area. So you can either search down here by country and select somewhere that you would like to use, and then you can edit it. So once I'm done that, I can now divide this up. And if I wanted to, because I was talking about a particular area where an animal might live, I might decide that New South Wales is what I want to highlight. I'm going to change the color of that so it stands out. And I might have some of the same animal in Western Australia. So I can highlight that too, so I can show. And then I can insert this map as well, and I've like personalized it. So I really like that tool too. I think that kind of really does kick this up a notch too. So this is Piktochart, and mainly used for infographics. However, there are many things that you can create in Piktochart now. You can create posters and presentations, and they have templates already for you to use, or you can start from scratch. And before we kind of carry on, I'm just going to show when you access any of these and you add them to your Chrome apps, you have your Google. Don't put in your email and password here, just use the single sign-on, especially with students. It has not been successful for us when we put in our emails and passwords. Okay. So then we'll move from that to Canva. In Canva too, very similar. It gives you some templates. They actually started off doing more of a social media, so you can see like they do banners and things like that. You can create pretty much anything that you want. I like the simple things. So I created like a social media little image that allowed me to use images, overlay, change the opacity of things, put text on there. I've had students do these around explaining who they are, explain who you are using 6 words. And they have to choose an image that's effective and a color scheme that kind of jives with who they are. And we've printed these out too, and they come out really nice. All the tools down the side here, very similar to Piktochart, backgrounds, text, elements, uploads. They do have like different layouts here that can kind of give inspiration, or they can also start from scratch. So that's Canva. And then the last graphic design one is Lucidpress. Lucidpress used to give you a particular amount of data here, like storage. And I've actually noticed this year that they've opened it up a lot, which is awesome. This is where I do most of our poster creations. So I love working in Lucidpress, and I love the way Lucidpress, I'm able to download it as a PDF and then print it out. So this was kind of a poster that we created for our school board around our tools of read and write. It allows you to give it a nice background, shadows behind the boxes, shadows behind the text. Text options are great. I get totally taken over with this program because I think in another life I'd like to be a graphic designer. But it's just kind of easy and looks really clean and professional when you print it out. I've had students create magazines in Lucidpress too, which they were astounded at. Like, I've never seen kids more proud of their work when we printed them out. So it really is a neat tool. It does look a little bit more complicated. As you can see, when I click on something, you can see this area here allows me to look at the text in particular, and then if I flick between, I can look at the shape that I've used, the border, shadow, and the opacity, and then also we get even finer. I can lock things so that when I'm moving around, I can have things in place so that I don't keep moving them. If I'm creating something like this, it's got a lot going on. So lots and lots of options. Okay, so those are our graphic design tools that I really like. And then we're going to go to Powtoon. So Powtoon is a great way to create an animated presentation. It has a lot of animations and animated little characters in there. They've recently, again, this is one of them that I haven't been on for a while, and then I went back and was like, oh, they've changed, they've added stuff, they've modernized it. They have like a whole whiteboard choice now where you can make things, you know, kind of, I know at one point there were lots of those how-to explainer videos where somebody was drawing on a whiteboard and they were writing text. Now they have that as an option too. I've had students use this program as well. It can be very, very, like it can be as simple or you can get as creative and particular as you wish. So that's Powtoon. Edpuzzle is kind of, I'm going to move away from, it's not so much of a creative app, but it allows you as a teacher to allow your students to watch a video and answer questions around it. So I would say for engagement around a topic, maybe it's a new topic, you want to introduce something, Edpuzzle is an app that allows you to choose from a bank of media where you can then crop it, you can overlay your voice over the top if you want to introduce it, you can add questions, you can send it to your class through Google Classroom, and you can track what your students did. I've included a Google slide. Again, this is kind of a walkthrough of a how-to with Edpuzzle. And it really does take you step by step. It kind of shows you the data on the back end, what you know, what you will see from your students too. once they've completed their questions, students cannot fast forward through the video that you've set. They have to wait, and then when it comes to the section in the video, a question pops up, and they get to type it and answer it and then continue. They can watch the section of video beforehand, though. They can re-watch it. And that's kind of the stuff that you get to see. You get to see how many times the student watched that bit part of the video. So if it was a challenging question for them and they had to go back, you can see that, yep, they needed to hear that information. Floorplanner is the one that I was saying is very limited. With Floorplanner, you get one free room. However, you can, once you've created a room, you can save images of that room and then you can go and recreate another one. In this slideshow, I've included lots of information about Floorplanner. I've had several teachers that use Floorplanner in many areas of their curriculum. So I just wanted to share that information with you. It might be useful. It might link to something maybe that you're doing. They shared with us stuff that they've done for around their math and measurement, and also how they created a grade 6 design challenge, comparing 2D and 3D shapes and investigating scale. They also used it for media literacy too. So they were able to create kind of comparing real estate ads and really looking deeply into that, compared like creating something that they would envision being in there, a particular level of a house. I was present for part of this assignment too within the class, and the students were so engaged. Some of them, I noticed, started putting a very similar app onto their personal devices, and it started to plan out different levels of like their future home. So I've included all that just as other information. And then there are a bunch of additional links there too that the teachers that were using it found useful. So that's the only one that I included that has very limited access, but I found it to be very successful. And then the last one is WeVideo, and I left WeVideo just for the last app because you can get a free version of WeVideo. But it just it's to create videos, kind of like iMovie, can be very similar, drag and drop either images or videos from a device with text. It can again be very simple, or you can work on something and make it very complex and very detailed. Now, our school board we bought licenses of WeVideo for the past 2 years, and it's very reasonable. We've found many great uses for it, and they've been great to work with. I think there's only another school board in Ottawa that also uses WeVideo, but as far as the Canadian market, I think that's about it as buying licenses. I am going to quickly show you WeVideo. Let's make this a little bigger. I'll switch to it. I'll just give it some time to bring up the editing environment so I can just kind of show you what it looks like. there are two different views that students can use. So this is called a timeline view. So this area here is where my workspace is, and it's leveled. So I can have several video layers. And if I scroll down, you can see right at the bottom there as it comes in, this is where my music comes in. So this type of dashboard I use with students that are maybe grade 6, 7, 8, and up. There is a much simpler view, which is called the storyboard mode, which I can get from this screen. And the storyboard mode, which I can't quite switch to right now because I've done too many particular edits in this one. The storyboard mode is that drag and drop, kind of very similar to iMovie, where you drag your images in, you can set a theme to it. The theme includes music, it includes transitions, and it includes kind of like a filter over the pictures. So I've used that with students from grade 3 successfully. They took one lesson to explore that and seemed to figure it out pretty quickly. The nice thing about WeVideo too is it has elements of their titles. I can just mute track a minute so then it doesn't interfere with me. And we'll see how it plays here. So it has titles. You can kind of see it. I know it's a little bit choppy. But it has titles that have motion to them too, so it brings something a little bit different. And it's kind of hard to see that bit as it moves so fast. But this was an activity that we did for core French students that were working on sharing, you know, they're introducing themselves and talking about what they liked and what they don't like. And they were very reluctant to use oral French. So we created a really quick little movie, and then they had the ability, if you can see here, there's the microphone, and the microphone allows you to add your voice to the presentation. So they were practicing their phrases, and as you record it, it actually plays the movie at the same time so that you know exactly when to speak. So it's kind of like a guided, and then they were able to present it rather than standing up and doing a presentation. Then they created something that had some interesting background. It had some music that faded out when their voice came in and faded back up again, and was a way more engaging for those students than standing up at the front and creating a presentation like that. So WeVideo is great. If you do get the free version, what you will get is here, it will just have a watermark that says created by WeVideo. So that's kind of why I left that one to the last, because I know that it is paid to get it without that. Okay, I'm gonna go back into here. So we tried to fit a lot in. That was a lot to take in, but it would be great now to have a little bit of time. I know we're getting close to the end, and I'd like to leave some time too, just for you to, for any, you know, kind of questions or things out there that you're still looking for that I hopefully may have, you know, ideas for as well. So if we have a little bit longer, Trish, can we get away with just less than 10 minutes or so? I see that it's like 8:41 on my clock, so if we can set a timer, that's great. And again, if you're good with those and you want to ask questions in the chat or anything like that, then please feel free. I'm still here. Hi, Valentina. With the French call, we actually used the WeVideo to create online movies. I also see the potential in using some of the graphic designs for the core French students when they're writing or they're creating. It gives them that additional engagement piece. So I think those for sure could be used too. If they are writing and creating those things, then obviously using the extensions that we looked at, the Google input tool, so they're able to use the accents where needed. Hi Timothy, yes, some of my teachers use Google Keep. We're promoting to use Google Keep for documentation. Students I've not come across anybody that's using it with their students. I mainly have more teachers using Google Keep so that they're keeping a track of. Some people, we have some schools where teachers all have an iPad. They're able to take images, take documentation, and then they're able to transfer it into a Google Doc easily. In your Google Docs, you have the option to open up your Keep notepad. So I know some teachers have found that very useful too. But some of my colleagues have students that use Google Keep as something that keeps them on track, but I've actually not come across it. Yeah. Valentina, I'm also just kind of coming back to your question too. I was helping to support some teachers in French immersion who had a few videos that they used. And not that we didn't actually work on this, but as a future thought to them, they were going to actually use Edpuzzle to ensure that their students were understanding the information within the videos and also kind of being able to keep a track and assess their knowledge of, kind of what they had listened to, what they had seen. So it might be a good way to share something that's in video form, that allows them to respond and practice their response. That was Edpuzzle. That was the one that you're able to open videos and create questions in. I originally taught a junior LD class. Sorry, Valentina just asked how I got so involved with technology. I taught a junior LD class where our students were not, obviously, this was some years ago, so we were using programs like Kurzweil and WordQ. And I just noticed how much more they were able to share just through, you know, using the voice to text and things like that. And so then I became advocates for them, and it just became like a complete passion. And now I just find it amazing to just keep on top of this stuff and learn something new every day. And it's so great to see students' responses when they get to do something and they enjoy doing it and they pick it up so easy. And I just think it's fun and engaging. So that's you got started. Yeah, those classes were special. It was the most eye-opening part of getting to know how to use tech and to see the full effects of the positive effects of what it allowed students to do. Yeah, I try and take part in conferences. I'm very lucky to have great colleagues where we're able to share ideas, and I do, even though I'm not great at contributing to Twitter, I really go to Twitter, and I've picked people's brains of who to follow on there, and then read about different things that are happening. And oh, nice! I've never been to a summer institute. That'd be good though. Mm-hmm. Okay, time is up. So I hope that you got a chance to have a look at some of the apps. If you have any questions, this would be a great time to fire them my way. It'd be great to know if you've checked out something and found something that you think would be useful, either the extensions or the apps. It'd be great to know. Please, if you do, pass it on to colleagues. Let them know about them too. That's interesting. I wonder where, I thought it was actually free for teachers. We sat in on a webinar with the guy that created it before the end of last year. So I wonder if you click on that, whether it will allow you. There is, oh nice, thanks Timothy, that's a good one, that Pexels. Yeah, that's great. Some of those places as well, like the Pexels and Pixabay, they have such good, clear, stunning images to use with pictographs that are good for, you know, nice copyright-free images. NGL, I wonder if you did click about how it's free for teachers. I know that our school board, because we have Google Read and Write, I think we probably got the Equatio activated through our school domain. Yeah, I think there definitely is a free teacher edition. There is also, let me just try and see if I can find, I had it as a link. Oh, okay.
Hey there, Emma. I'm wondering if maybe while you're checking into that, I could do my little wrap-up.
Yes, for sure, yes.
And then those folks that are interested in a little bit more about that, they can hang around after I'm finished. So if that's all right, folks, I'm just going to advance the slide here. And Emma's got some great suggestions on her next slide there. And finally, we want to thank all of you for coming tonight and staying right to almost 9 o'clock here. We like to be conscious of the time and make sure everybody has a chance to wrap up and give a few minutes if folks want to stick around as well. But we do appreciate your feedback. If this webinar has prompted ideas for future webinars, please let us know. Feedback really drives the kind of sessions that we offer, so you can go to that link there. I'm also going to put one in the chat as well. Just a reminder that because this session is recorded, the chat's also recorded as well, so you can scroll through it. When the link comes to you tomorrow, you'll get an email letting you click on the certificate as well that you get. I'll put a link to that. So once you do the feedback, you will also get a certificate that you can print off and keep. And then there's the resource link. Everything will be live tomorrow or late tonight. So once again, Emma, that was incredible. I've already added a few extensions, and I'm going to be trying that noisily out with a few choice students, that's for sure. I think it's a great, almost compromise for some of them. So I'm going to stop the recording in a moment. Just want to show you one more thing, folks. Just a reminder, AQ courses are still available, and you still can qualify for a subsidy for some of them. So there's another link you can head to as well. Okay, so you're just going to hear that the recording is stopped, and I'll officially thank everybody again. And once you've done the feedback survey, if you're finished, just simply close up the window.